President Bola Tinubu on Monday held his first media chat addressing key national issues. Amongst other things, the president expressed condolences to families affected by recent charity-related stampedes and emphasized responsibility when giving. On security, he highlighted the improvements in once volatile regions, asserting confidence in the nation's security architecture. Tinubu defended the removal of the fuel subsidy and foreign exchange harmonization as necessary steps for economic recovery. He also reaffirmed his commitment to tax reforms aimed at modernizing the economy and reducing oil dependency. Well, despite temporary hardships, he urged Nigerians to remain patient, emphasizing the long-term benefits of his reforms. And joining us now to dissect and particularly review President Tinubu's response to the questions on the removal of fuel subsidy and forex deregulation in his media chat is Chief Economist at SPM Professionals, Dr. Paul Alaje. Always great to have you here. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so very much for having me. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
To everybody watching around the world.
Right. So we saw the media chat. It's getting a lot of buzz, but let's stick to the economic part of the discussion. What did you make of some of the proclamations?
Well, I think the president have chosen a path. There is a classical path in economics. There is neoclassical path. There is also what we call the non-classical path, or you might want to call it the Keynesian path. Economics is not one jacket fit it all. What is usable or possible for Europe might not be the same thing that is applicable for America or what is applicable for Africa. But what the president have decided to follow, to my mind, is let's see where these deregulations and flotation will lead. Now, in economics, there is always a trade-off. You cannot eat your cake and have it. You must make choices. In fact, economics itself is the study of choices, and you must have alternative for God. So when the president says that he scores himself really high in terms of subsidy removal and also flotation, as well as his commitment to tax reform, as an economist and as a researcher, my concerns and hope will be on the few things. Number one, why did we remove subsidy? We remove subsidy because to government part and those that have advised Nigeria before now, including World Bank, and not limited to them, and IMF, and a few other international organizations. I don't want to mention their names, but we have about 4 of them that have been very vehement in telling Nigerian and Nigerian authorities to remove subsidy. Now, the reason why subsidy is removed is such that government revenue mismatch. So government revenue will surge. Recall that President Buhari and President Tinubu has also acknowledged that over 90% of our revenue was spent on debt service as of 2023 before President Tinubu got to office. Apart from that, 2023 budget revealed that over 3.3 trillion has been spent half a year on subsidy alone. So the president feels, to my mind, that if we remove subsidy, we have saved potentially 6.6 trillion naira. That's equation one. Then we saw the other policy where the president said, let's float the exchange rate. In fact, some persons will tell Nigerians that it's not just floating, it is naira discovering itself. And that comes to me with a lot of amusement because no currency can actually discover itself. And I will give you, global examples. And we've also heard when we hear that let's emaciate the naira. There was a minister of finance who would always speak about emaciation. What everybody is saying in the concept of developing country is let us develop. All the time we have practiced flotation policy, including but not limited to structural adjustment program. What happened to naira? It gets developed. Not just naira, check currencies across the world. Across Africa, I beg your pardon, and other developing countries. Their currency are susceptible to devaluation. Now, when you check all of these, something will happen. In national income accounting, which I want it to be as simple as possible for viewers around the world and those watching us at home now, it is income, you say your total national income is equivalent of household consumption. That is the gas you put in your car, the laptop you buy, the recharge card, everything that is your consumption as household. FEM, that's industry, companies, government expenditure, plus net trade, that's our export minus import. Now, government is spending so much and it feels that we cannot carry this burden. Can we shift part of this burden to household and FEM? Now, but you see, in all of these, there are assumptions for taking this policy. And I think the challenge Nigerians have, and why World Bank was a bit truthful, very truthful, about for how long, if we don't change policy environment, we might stay in this. The World Bank chief, not my word, said we may need to endure for 10 to 15 years, according to World Bank. And I think this was on a rise screen at the time. And recently, IMF, I think around November, said Nigeria need to review this policy. IMF. And he said, if Nigeria need to review the policy because countries that we advise, that adopted the policy together, their inflation has started coming down. For Nigeria, we saw a bit of retraction in rates, but these rates have started, increasing again. It was not, I think currently it's 34.6%. That's year on year when you talk about headline inflation. So when you look at what are the assumptions? Productivity. Can you say that we are operating on our potential production possibility curve? The answer is no. 2, our production capacity. When we remove subsidy that induces productivity, such as electricity, then I'm worried. The Honorable Minister said we should be looking at, by December, we should be looking at 6,000 megawatts. Now, to generate power is meaningless if it's not available in our homes. This year, 2024, power grid collapsed average of 12 times. That's average of 1 per month. How can we become productive when transmission line or whatever it is continue to collapse? So whether you are band A, band B, or band Z, it does not matter when the collapse happens. So here is the point. As we look at 2025, which I think we have another opportunity, it's a new year, it's a new window for us as a nation to reconsider some of the policy. Some of the policy, and let me put this caveat. Nothing is wrong with flotation and subsidy removal as a policy for a nation. If I were to advise some countries, I will actually tell them to do it. Why, as an economist and a researcher, I am very weary about advising developing nations to take this policy at all. It doesn't mean they cannot, but to now take the policy together is another headache. Now, introducing the third policy, Russia adopted these 3 policies. You know what happened? People lost confidence. That's what brought Vladimir Putin to office. It's not that people love Vladimir Putin, but great history, economic history. That's what brought him to office. The German leader did the same. He didn't win. Japan, the man was very quick. Immediately after the Hiroshima and Nagasaki, he was very quick to quickly say, no. We will quickly copy what Germany did. And he remained in office. Policies are good, especially when you want to practice reform. But be careful. Measure the impact of policy, public policy, reform on the life of people. That's the difference between economics and mere finance people. I love accountants, I respect them. Finance people, I respect them. But I am privileged to also study a third leg called economics. So when you are a finance person and you have drawn all the models, you now need time to measure the impact on poverty rate. Poverty rate number last year, we projected 8 million people. World Bank said we are wrong. As at October, there were already 10 million people added to poverty bracket. We are projecting 8 million for next year. We hope it will not be a reality. What can make the economy better is policy environment. So when you look at the assumption that should be in place, will this policy help productivity? What does that mean? President Tinubu has good intention. There will be more money to pump into the economy. Through which channel are this money getting pumped? Through FAC, Federal Account Allocation. Now when that committee meets, they share money. President Tinubu's hope, according to those advising him, I suppose, will be when you get this money, inject it, which is what economic theory teaches. Inject it to the economy. The question is, when we go to states, are we feeling the impact like we are seeing in Abuja? We are seeing road construction in Abuja. So I was not totally surprised when President Tinubu said he doffed his cap for his minister in FCT because he lives there, he sees it. If you come to Lagos, we are seeing rail track. We are seeing partnership between the NRC and Lagos State, which should be encouraged. We are hearing of green line, blue line. We are seeing some kind of work going on, which is, you know, boosting economic activity, because when government is doing well, we should say it. Now, when you go to some other state, I will not mention them so that I will not receive some calls.
Please
you
do.
wonder if there is presence of government in some other states. And this is across regions. And that's why the civic responsibility on the part of the people should also ask questions. Look at what has been shared over the time in the name of subsidy that was beneficial to everybody, all Nigerians. I laugh when some rich people said, when some people said, it's only the rich that will affect. I laugh. I say, see, it will affect us all the same. For those of us that are not rich, and for those of them that are rich, all of us will be affected. Now, check. Income is not about absolute value. I hear people have 5 cars. I laugh. I say, it's not about 5 cars that matter. It is the proportion of their income they are using to buy fuel. So if the proportion of their income to buy fuel is smaller than your own proportion of taking taxi, then you know that you have some big issue to deal with.
Dr. Paul Alaje, is always a delight to, speak with you on Newsday. Unfortunately, we are out of time, sadly, really. Dr. Paul Alaje is the Chief Economist, FSPM Professionals. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsday.
Thank you so much for having me.